Welcome back, junk journal lovers. This is Laura from Hyper Stamper, and I want to show you this really cool junk journal that I just finished and I'm putting up on Etsy momentarily. This is it is actually a vintage book, but it had a very boring cover. So I found this. It was a set of two. I've already sold the first one. It sold very quickly, but this is a wooden plaque from the 1950s made in Italy. Look at that beautiful piece of art, really. And so I've literally just mounted it on the inside or the outside of this cover of the book. And let's go ahead and take a little flip through of this wonderful junk journal that I made. The very first page here is just a tea-dyed page. I use very few of them in my journals, but I do put them in because I want you to have something that's really sturdy for you to journal on and add to if you want, because antique paper is often brittle. And all of the other pages in the book are authentic antique and vintage paper. So let's have a peek here. Another one of my Pearl Shop receipts from Cincinnati, Ohio, circa 1950s. Two little vintage playing cards. This goes in my set of 10. You'll find these in each of the 10 that I am posting this week. Okay, sweet. I just love this one, the little kitty cats. That's got to be from about the 1950s as well. And this one probably from the 1970s. And they are in a pocket that I made from an antique book. And this is a children's book here, Gateways to Bookland. And I made this double pocket. It wraps around. And inside I have another one of my journaling tags that I made from an antique book page. And I just decorated it with some scraps from other antique book pages and music sheets using punched out images and torn paper and edging, like this flower. And back here is the early 1900s full page spread with lots of white space for you to journal on. This particular poem from the book The Emerald Isle, an Irish book of poems, it's called The Marina Way. It's really quite lovely. It reminds me sort of Southampton there. It's lovely, just beautiful. And over here in this pocket on the flip side, made out of that antique book page and the centerpiece of the pages with the puncture holes there, is this 1950s bingo card and this lovely Stamp River Falls. Look at that, isn't that wonderful? And this is from 1954 and it's being sent to Miss Holmes in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, from my home country, Canada. So sorry, I'm just going to tuck that back in there. And this is a piece of a table doily, and it's really quite lovely applique there. And we have the 1940s Theatre World magazine page here, and I made this little tuck pocket out of a 1926 ledger book. And inside here is the April 12th and April 11th page from the Paris, France Almanac, 1938, lundi 11 avril. And to my French-speaking friends, I'm sorry if I did not pronounce that correctly. But basically, it's Monday, April 11, and Tuesday, April 12. I love that. And that is during World War II. So that's really, if you could Google translate it, you can really find out some cool things in there. This wonderful full page spread is from mid-century, How to Make an English Garden. And it's just lovely. Look at that bridge. Wow. There's more advertisements in that Theatre World magazine. Isn't that fun? And over here I made a pocket out of the flip side of that doily. And I made a little envelope journaling page here for you. And tuck that back in there. And I love how this is all neutral tones. I get a lot of comments on that people can add their own color. They can paint in here. They can decoupage, journal. I use mine's gratitude journals. I have a lovely Canadian Queen Elizabeth stamp there, very old. and more tea-dyed pages for you. I hand stamped on some of those to make them a little prettier. And I added some ribbon, or sorry, some lace to this early 1950s yearbook page, which is awesome. And then this came from a children's book here, and inside I've got this little vintage glassine envelope that I guess originally had Jamaican stamps in it. Somebody wrote Jamaica on there many years ago, and then I stuffed it with some vintage stamps for you to have, play with, add to other journals, make crafts with, all the things we do with everything antique and vintage. And just another antique book page here that you can journal on. And I mounted all of that on top of a 1945 dictionary page. And on this side, you just flip that up, and a little bit more white space here, and that's from a Blue Ribbon Tea Bags advertisement I got in a recipe book, 1926 ledger page. And I love the pink and blue graph lines where they would have put all their amounts and items. And this is very special. This is from the Curves and Knives 1902 Plates book. And this one is called The Sailor's Return. And then we have, over here, the engraving, plate number 5 from New York, lithographers. And on this side, we have this lovely, the sailor's adieu. So the sailor coming home and the sailor leaving again. Isn't that beautiful? So old and so precious. More of those pages we had earlier. Another awesome image of these folks from the, actually, sorry, this is from the 40s because it's the Magna Charta one. And more over here. Love it. And I have another set of tea-dyed pages here, lots of journaling space, and this lovely page here with its imagery already printed on there by the publisher is from The Magic Garden, a classic from the early 1900s. This really heavy cardstock page is from A Christmas Carol, which was a Christmas journal that sold very, very quickly. So I'm sorry you didn't have a chance to purchase that if you were looking at it. I'm going to try to put up more Christmas journals by the end of the year, or by the end of the summer, sorry. 1930s music sheet. And this here is another print from a 1956 art book on Henri Rousseau here. And this is actually a really, really pretty one. So you can journal on that or just keep it because it's really beautiful. Henri Rousseau was a Parisian artist. And this is a sketch in a vintage bird book, and that's the Boreal Owl. And it's on glossy, which is really special for a vintage book. That meant it was a high quality book. And here's the other side of that beautiful music sheet, and the other side of that lovely Christmas Carol book page. And here are some pretty little ladies in the Magic Garden pages. And over here I've made a nice little tuck. Oh, this is fun. I got this from a little newspaper clip, and up in the corner it says Saturday, February 28th, March 1st is the day of the publication, 1907. Isn't that awesome? And I've got a 1926 ledger page here, and back here I tucked in some crochet examples. Look at how pretty that is. Irish lace luncheon set. Isn't that fabulous? So you get to enjoy that as well. And I mounted all of that on top of a vintage atlas page. And over here, I always try to put the words thankful or gratitude somewhere in my journals, and a pretty little vintage stamp and more of that lovely, lovely 1926 ledger paper, blank, which is really fun. This page here comes from an indigenous author from the late 1800s, Pauline Johnson, and these poems are really beautiful and important. And that is from the book Flint and Feather, which is also for sale in my Etsy shop if it's not gone by the time you watch this. Full page spread of a really, really cheesy cookbook. I absolutely love the 1950s cookbooks. They're not very appetizing, but they're hilarious, and I just love their attempt at making these beautiful. Look at the Jello star here. The canned cranberry. Oh my gosh, it's just hilarious. So So anyways, I kind of wish I had kept that for my Christmas journal, but I do have lots of wonderful Christmas recipes in those. Here is some 1930s Monopoly money that I tucked into this antique book page tuck spot, and more pages here for you to journal on. Another one of those 1926 ledger pages. And that is this journal. I hope you will visit my Etsy shop so you can look to purchase one of these or the dozens of others I've made and posted there at etsy.com/shop/hyperstamper with a capital H. Visit back again soon and please subscribe.